submit a written memorandum on Zambia's ICT infrastructure with respect to financial technology growth. So the submission will address the following: the policy and regulatory frameworks governing ICT and fintech in Zambia, the state of Zambia's ICT infrastructure, the effectiveness of mobile money services in reaching unserved and undeserved areas in remote parts of Zambia, and then recommendations. So in terms of the policy and regulatory frameworks governing ICT and fintech in Zambia, we have the Bank of Zambia, more specifically the Bank of Zambia Act of 1996, the National Payment Systems Act of 2007, and the Banking and Financial Services Act of 2017. In terms of the regulation of electronic communications, networks and services, Zambia's ICT sector is regulated by ZICTA, and the following pieces of legislation empower ZICTA to regulate the ICT sector. So we have the Information and Communication Technology Act number 15 of 2009, the Cybersecurity and Cybercrimes Act number 2 of 2021, and the Electronic Communications and Transactions Act number 4 of 2021. In terms of the regulation of fintechs, it's jointly undertaken by the Bank of Zambia and ZICTA. They're further supported by the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Pensions and Insurance Authority, and the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. So given the cross-cutting nature of fintechs, and that their services which are provided through digital platforms, the various regulatory agencies have established relationships through memorandum of understanding to collaborate on matters of common interest. The Bank of Zambia and ZICTA further developed a collaborative framework for regulation of digital financial services in 2022. So some other noteworthy policies or strategies are the National ICT Policy, which was put into law in 2023, the National Digital Transformation Strategy, which will run from 2023 to 2027, and the National Financial Sector Development Policy 2017. So we now move on to the state of Zambia's ICT infrastructure. So in terms of the geographical mobile network coverage, this is defined as the actual proportion of land areas that are covered by service providers. And a gap analysis by ZICTA revealed that the geographical coverage by service providers was relatively low at 69.9%. This was as a result of the country's land terrain, which is mostly hilly and requires more towers to cover a smaller piece of land. And this has led to higher capital investments by service providers. Additionally, most rural areas are sparsely populated and not economically viable to compel service providers to make investments in the areas. It's also worth noting that Zambia has the second largest proportion of land under protected status in southern Africa, with approximately 225,000 square kilometers designated as protected areas. This amounts to 30% of the total land cover, with 8% being national parks and 22% being game management areas. So these protected areas also pose challenges for network coverage expansion. In terms of the telecommunications sites, our interviews with ZICTA revealed that the total number of telecommunications sites as at the end of June 2023 was 12,618. 2G sites accounted for the largest proportion at 37.2%, followed by 3G sites at 31.2% and 4G sites at 30.6%. In the first quarter of 2023, MTN Zambia introduced 5G technology. These contributed about 1% to the total number of sites reported during the review period. Moving to digital platforms, we have the government service bus. So in the public sector, the government has made progress in embracing electronic services by cutting down on paper-based and in-person access to services through the implementation of the Government Enterprise Service Bus and the Government Payment Gateway. The government also digitalized the payment of various taxes through ZRA, and this was done to improve the ease of taxpayers in making payments in real time and in location. We also have digital identity. The full implementation of the National Identity System is currently underway. Our interviews with ZICTA revealed that this system will allow authentication both online and offline, as well as the ability to facilitate linkages and information sharing with various electronic services. So looking at the effectiveness of mobile money services in reaching unserved and undeserved areas in remote parts of Zambia, the 2020 FinScope survey revealed that adults who had or used mobile money services increased to 58.4% in 2020 from 14% in 2015. It was further revealed that 29.2% of adults in rural areas were using mobile money services in 2015, This increased to 37.9% of adults in rural areas in 2020. The increased use of mobile money services among adults in rural areas demonstrates its importance as a tool of financial inclusion in reaching the unserved and undeserved areas in remote parts of Zambia. The following reasons were cited as the barriers to using mobile money by the unserved. I'll just mention a few of them. I do not have a mobile phone. I do not need it because I don't make any transactions. They don't know how to get it. I don't know what it is. They do not trust that their money is safe on mobile money accounts. Using it is difficult. Transaction fees are high. Mobile money doesn't provide any advantage. They don't understand the service or what you can use it for. And maybe their spouses, family, or in-laws do not approve of them using it. I will now move to the recommendations.
We recommend that there is need to improve reliability of networks. Operators should enhance network capacity and upgrade technologies to improve the quality and reliability of services, aligning with increased adoption rates and consumer needs. I think owing to the fact that I think the world is moving to faster and faster internet, I think the issue of using 4G, 5G networks, and of course other nations are moving to 6G, so that is quite important to look at. Expand network coverage, so we are saying that there should be the increase in the cellular and optic fiber coverage in underserved areas to foster greater access, subsequently leading to increased adoption of services like mobile money. So it is only when the expansion of network coverage is done should we be able to have some of these services to improve financial inclusion. Then we are also saying that it is imperative to enhance network security and digital literacy. So there is need to intensify efforts to ensure mobile money platforms and educate consumers on safe usage, particularly amongst marginalized population, to combat the increasing occurrence of mobile money-related scams. But of course, this is important because I think the more citizens get onto these digital platforms, even some of the financial inclusion measures or some of the payment systems can be integrated, particularly if we talk about issues of social cash transfer. Coverage would actually be easy for this. Then the other aspect is to expand agent networks. So we are saying that it is important to broaden mobile money provider agent networks to maximize service benefits and reliability, especially in areas with limited access. So it is important to implement a strategic approach to increase merchant payments. Collaboration with fintech startups, so we are saying it is important to encourage partnerships between traditional financial institutions and fintech startups to leverage innovations and resources. Then lastly, we recommend that that there is an improvement of information dissemination on the use of the GSM amongst members of the public to enhance compliance and reduce barriers to accessing government services under this platform. Chair, we submit.
Indicated that we should reduce the cost involved. We should bear that cost is information, prove information dissemination. Is it think tank? Is it piece of technology and science? Is it bank of the motion to do this?
My question really is, as a stakeholder in this country, I'm more conscious with ownership. The emerging digital economy, as it stands, what is the participation ratio of Zambian private sector, of Zambian parastatals compared with our foreign colleagues? I ask that because we have largely in all sectors the participation in terms of meaningful, economic, participation, high-end economic participation by our people or Zambian parastatals, which can contribute to the country's GDP, is negligible in many sectors. As this is emerging, as research experts, don't you think you should be amplifying this message so that we can insulate or defend some portion of this business for Zambia and to benefit generations to come, I think.
I'll draw you back to page number 3, the Cybersecurity and Crime and Cybercrime Act number 2 of 2021. You and I understand that cyber crime is actually becoming more sophisticated almost on a daily basis. These criminals that are perpetrating this vice, if you look at them, they are able to evade some of these laws. Now that you've mentioned about the Act of number 2 Act of 2021, do you feel that there is any need for this law to be amended for it to meet the current challenges that the Cybersecurity Act is facing?
Our financial capacity and the level of affordability of our people to improve technology in terms of what sort of phone they are able to buy. Because I think if you go in the village, I think it's not a priority for them to get a phone that probably has. You really have to provide some little education, even if they have some money. All they are interested in is, am I able to call my child from Lusaka? Am I able to communicate to someone who is in town for me to buy some inputs and stuff like that? So so this process of phasing out could be gradual whilst we keep on and look at this should be backed by data, especially research-based data that should be able to indicate what sort of mobile phones do these people are now on. The level of access to smartphones by our people in the remote areas is quite low in comparison to us who are in the urban areas. So this digital divide also plays a critical role in terms of when do we have to phase out completely the other sort of remote support.